everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I am a part-time reseller on Poshmark, and today we are here with another monthly update. We are here for our August recap. I do these every single month here on my channel, so if you're new to my channel and you haven't seen the prior month's recaps, I will put a playlist down below that you can check out each month so far. This year we kind of just go into detail on how the month was, how much money I made, how much, what brands I sold, how I made the sale and stuff like that. So if that is something that is interesting to you, definitely keep watching and make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss a future monthly recap. But let's get started and go through August, because August was probably the worst month this year. Okay, so coming off of July, where I thought we were kind of going back up in a positive direction after the month of June, August was actually worse, and it's so sad to report that, and I almost didn't want to make this video. I felt very discouraged, but I just figured that these have to help somebody out there in case somebody else is, struggling just like me. I want to kind of talk about why I struggled this month, and maybe somebody else can relate. And I also just feel like it's more real when I'm not only just showing you the positives, and I'm also showing you, how things can be up and down and how you never really know what to expect. So in the month of August, I sold 86 listings with a total of $699. And so like I said, this is really low. This is lower than I would have liked it to be, and it's my lowest month this year. So it's a little bit crushing to see that, but I do think that something went wrong, and I will get into that as we go through the video. Okay, so in terms of listings sold each day, it was on average 1, and then there were some days where it was really high, and then there were some days where it was none. And I actually feel like I had more days this month where I had no sales, which again was very not usual for me. This is something that I don't tend to have. I tend to get sales every single day, and the number of orders was roughly 2 a day. There was some days, again, where it was higher and lower, but overall, that's what it really was. And if you compare this to the prior month, you could definitely see there's way more highs in the prior month, and there's a lot more lows in this month. So that just goes to show that July was a way better month for me, which we already know because July I sold over 1,000 in sales for the month. So we could tell by just looking at that it was a way worse month. Okay, so let's talk about my top selling brands for the month, because really there wasn't anything that kind of stood out to me, and the top 2 selling brands were things that I sold one thing each. So the 2 top selling brands are Shoe Shop and Judy Blue. So these are actually 2 things that I got from the same person in Facebook Marketplace for free, and so I didn't pay anything for them, so it was all profit, and I think I sold them for about 40 each, which was good because those were my 2 shining stars for the month. But I didn't really have a lot of items this month where I was like, selling a lot of them, or like the brands that I was selling a lot of or anything like that. So having these 2 sales that were on the bigger side really kept me afloat this month. And then the next 3 brands after that are American Eagle, Naturalizer, and Ink. And so these are brands that I had a bunch in my closet, and I actually was selling some for a friend, and then I also found some at the Goodwill bins. So that's why I had some of those items selling, but again, it really wasn't that high compared to prior months. And in terms of listings sold for each category, the top selling brand are actually Francesca's and American Eagle. They are both tied at 5 items sold for this month, and then behind that was actually Fashion Bug, which was 4. Now, like I said before, I was going to get into why I think this month was slower. If you recall from the last 2 months where I talked about my recaps, I was saying that those vintage brands such as Fashion Bug and just vintage in general were selling really well for me, and they were actually my top selling brands for the month. And that was because I was doing live sales, and I was doing silent auctions pretty much every single day, auctioning off a bunch of things. And well, I don't know what happened this month, but something really weird happened with Poshmark where I was going from getting 20 to 30 viewers per show, making 5 to 6 sales per show, selling like a bunch of items to each person, to not being able to get more than 1 or 2 people on my show at once. And again, this is not something I really want to talk about, but I also want to, let everybody else know in case you're struggling, because I know how lonely it can feel when you feel like you're doing everything right, but you can't seem to get, those viewers back in. So I just want this to be as relatable as possible and tell you that, like, I was struggling too, and I'm a Posh ambassador. I have about 180,000 followers on Poshmark, and I have 100 people that have liked my show listing. So 100 people should be getting notified every time I go live. And for some reason, every time I run that listing, I can run it like 10 times in a row, but like nobody joins the show. And I'm not really sure what happened and why this changed from July to August, but I did see a lot of other sellers saying that they had the same problem happen, where they used to get so many people to their shows and now they can't seem to get more than a couple. And so I'm having that problem. And what's also weird is I used to get, I used to have those select buyers that were buying from every show. They would come back to every show. And now I can't really seem to get many of them to come in. Like, I'll tag them or, whatever it is. So I'm not really sure what's happening there. I'm not sure if Poshmark is silencing Posh show notifications or if they're not pushing the shows as much. Because for a while, people were complaining that they were getting too many notifications, but now I feel like it's the opposite, where sellers are really suffering because they're having a hard time, with those silent shows. So if you're still having, the same luck that you were having before, let me know down below what you're doing to keep those people coming in, because I'm struggling and I would really love to know how to fix that, because I have a lot of things that I would love to sell in those shows if possible. But yeah, getting back to the original point, that's why the fashion bug and vintage categories are not actually as high this month, because I wasn't actually able to sell a lot of those items like I was prior. I would sell a lot of those in the live sales and I would auction them off pretty cheap, but I had a bunch of them, so that's how I was able to sell, so many back in July. Okay, so let's talk about where my sales came from. So most of my sales were actually women's items. I sold a few men's items and then a very, very small amount of kids' items. This is pretty on par with normal months for me. In fact, I actually did sell some kids items, which is, exciting. Don't really sell a lot of them, so when I do sell them, I get a little bit happy. Okay, and about 16% of my items that I sold this month were new with tag, and the rest were not new with tag. Okay, so remember how before in this video I was saying that I really, really struggled in the month of August? Well, I think this next stat will definitely show you that I struggled, because the graph that, shows how I made my sales over the course of the month really, really is a true test to show how well the month was for me. So this month, I actually had 87% of my sales come from offers, which means that I was pretty much desperately sending out offers because I wasn't getting those full price sales and I wasn't making those, sales in the shows. So the only way that I was really pulling in sales was sending out offers. And sometimes that is just the case. Sometimes you have to do that. I actually had to do that back in June when the summer slowdown was happening. I had to just send out those offers as frequently as I could. And this kind of seemed like that again. And so that's why most of my sales actually came from offers. And I think that really reflects in how I made those sales. And about 3% came from bundle offer and about 9% came from buy now. So again, most of the sales were really coming in from those offers. So I really recommend sending out those offers every single day if you're not already, because that is how I'm keeping myself afloat in the times where things just get really, really slow. And if this also doesn't prove to you how slow the month was, 46 out of 51 of my orders this month were offer. So they were sent via offer. So that really just goes to show that you have to be sending out offers. You could also accept offers. I've been, accepting offers when I get them. But that just really goes to show that offers are so important because they're literally bringing in most of my sales. Okay, so let's finally just talk about what we listed this month, because I'm tired of thinking about the negatives that happened and I want to move on to the positives. So I listed 309 new items this month, which again is pretty standard. If you're here every month, you know that I list 5 new items every single day and I relist 5 new items every single day. And so this is what really helps me get through, the month. And it's basically generating 10 new listings to my closet every day. So my closet is growing very rapidly, but I think this is what's helping me bring in those sales and get those consistent sales, because I do see some people that are saying that they make, 1 to 2 sales a month. And I think that's because they're not adding new inventory every single day. So this is helping me at least bring in some sales, and it's better than nothing. So definitely recommend listing new items every single day and relisting new items every single day, and that's going to help you have way more success with your sales. And in terms of what I listed this month, which is actually ironic because none of those brands were selling this month, but I added a lot of vintage items to my closet, and I think I was doing that because I knew that those vintage items were selling in June and July, so I was adding more to my closet, but then I was getting kind of like, they were piling up and no one was buying them. So it was a little bit interesting to see that that was happening. And so hopefully going forward, some of those vintage items will sell and I will get some of these other items selling as well. And in terms of what I listed this month, I listed mostly women's items. I think I might have listed a few men's items, but it was mainly women's. I also think I listed some men's, kids, and even home items. I don't have a lot of home items in my closet, but I have started to list a couple that I've been branching out to. So the home category was very, very tiny, and so was the kids and the men's. Okay, so now that we're back to reporting each month this year, it's very sad to say that August was the first month this year that was below August of last year, and it was the first month that was below any month last year. So it is not a good feeling, and I'm very, not happy with it, but I just want to move forward, and I just want, to hope that September is better. And so as you can see, if we compare so far this year, every single month was higher except for August, and it was close, but it wasn't that far. So I'm hoping that I can, get September and the rest of the year to be higher. I was really happy all year so far that I was able to be better than last year. And I'm not going to take it too rough that, this 1 month was lower, but I definitely want to aim to keep going up and not going back down. But in terms of listings sold, each month, again, even August was higher than last year. And you could see that I was not really selling that many listings last year in general, because even this month I didn't sell that many, and I still listed way more than I listed last year. Or I sold way more than I sold last year. So I'm still happy that the number of listings I'm selling is higher, but the number of sales that I'm bringing in is lower. And the number of orders was higher than any month last year, as well as in August. So I'm happy that that was the case. Again, it just goes to show that the number of orders I was bringing in last year was very low in comparison. So at least everything is not lower, but it's still not great to know that, the sales are lower, because ultimately I want to make more money doing this. And so the best way is to just keep growing and keep making more sales each month. So total for the year so far, I sold 653 items for a total of $8,207. So even with the crazy low month of August, and even with the crazy low month of June and August being my lowest months this year, I am still at the $1,000 a month threshold that I really set for myself in the beginning of the year. And while I'm only 200 above that, and this month really set me back on that, I'm still happy to say that I'm within that threshold of what I would, what my goal is for the year. So that is good. And hopefully we don't, have any months that are less than that the rest of the year, to make sure that we stay above that. Okay, so that was a hard recap to get through. Most of these recaps have been pretty easy just because they haven't been this, sad. So I'm glad it's over, and I'm glad August is over, and I'm ready to just start fresh with September. I'm really hoping September brings more sales, but I just hope that this video helps one person out there who's struggling because maybe they had a bad month, or they feel bad because they see so many other people have so much success with live shows or just sales in general. And I know it's very easy to compare ourselves to other sellers and each other to say, oh, well, you had way more sales than me, I must not have been successful, or anything like that, because that's just not true. And it doesn't really help us to think that way either. So I think it's so important to just keep focusing on yourself and keep focusing on the goals that you set for yourself, and keep striving to do better. And at no point this month, even when it was really slow, did I think I'm gonna give up, I'm gonna stop listing every single day, I'm gonna stop relisting every single day. And I actually had one person comment on one of my videos, it was a recent comment, but it was a video I posted a while ago, and they said, what's the point of listing every single day and relisting every single day if you're not selling the items? And to that, I basically say that the point is you want to keep yourself consistent with the algorithm, because that's going to help you stay back on track. And if you stop listing, you're going to kind of lose yourself in that algorithm, and it's going to be really hard to get back on track to start really, having those consistent sales again. So even when it's slow, it's still so important to keep listing every single day. And there's going to be days that you sell more than one item, and there's going to be days that you sell 10 items. And so those are the days that you keep listing and relisting for. So definitely don't stop relisting just because it's slow, and definitely don't stop listing just because it's slow. So I hope this recap was helpful. Like I said, it wasn't the most positive recap that we've had all year, and it pained me to have to make it, but I definitely didn't want to stop just because the month was low. And so I hope, this helps somebody out there. If you want to see more recap videos, if you want to see how July was in comparison, you can go ahead and click right here. And if you want to see some new features that you should be using on Poshmark that will help you get those consistent sales on a normal basis, you can go ahead and watch right here. But until next time, I will see you then.